Hello everybody, what we're going to look at today is a computer-aided program called SketchUp. It's a web-based program, free to use. You can make your own profile if you wish. We're going to create a 3D model of a mug, just a normal tea or coffee mug. SketchUp is a little different to Tinkercad. In Tinkercad you have different parts that you put together to create the model. In SketchUp it's a little bit more difficult. You have to create those parts yourself. They don't come ready-made. That of course is a little bit more difficult to achieve, but it also allows you to create slightly more sophisticated models. The work area in SketchUp, you'll notice these lines. You have a blue line, a green line, and a red line. The blue line is the vertical axis. It goes up and down. The green line and the red line are the horizontal axis. They go either forwards and backwards or left and right. Obviously, if you take away the blue axis, you just have a 2D area. So the blue axis is what gives us our 3D area to work in. SketchUp will tell you when you are aligned with those axes. I will point that out during this video when it tells us. Now, we'll start off by drawing just the normal part of the mug. I go to the left-hand side toolbar here, and we have a rectangle tool. So we click that, and then you'll see there's extra options. I'm going to choose the circle tool here. Now I start to draw that in, just like that. Now this is a far too big circle. It has a radius of 619 millimeters. I can tell that by looking in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. We need it to have a radius of 40 millimeters. Now you might think that you've got to very carefully move the mouse in until you get to 40 millimeters. No, you don't. You can do the shortcut, which is to, without any hands on the mouse, you just type 40 and press enter. What that's done is it shrunk the circle down to a radius of 40 millimeters or a diameter of 80. What I'll now do is roll my mouse wheel into that shape. If I want to now pan around and have a look at this circle, I click and hold the mouse wheel, the part in the middle of the mouse. And as you can see, I'm looking at this from the bottom. This is currently a totally flat shape. There's nothing there. It's like a piece of paper. So what I do now is I'm going to create material out of nothing, and that uses this tool here, the push-pull tool. So again, I get some options. We're going to use the push-pull tool. When I hover the push-pull tool over the surface here, you'll see it has this dotty pattern. That means that it's ready to be created. So I click and pull upwards. I can let go, so I've got no hands on the mouse again. I want it to be 80 millimeters tall, so again I just type 80 and press enter, and you'll see that that changes in the bottom right hand corner. So now if I pan around, you'll see we have a 80 millimeter diameter and 80 millimeters tall cylinder. Okay, so now the next thing to do is create the opening in this mug. Now we're going to use a slightly different tool to do that. We've got the push-pull tool selected at the moment, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use this one, the offset tool. Click that and hover my mouse over the top of the mug, and then you can see I've got this this square, I think it's a red square, on the edge of the cylinder. What I'm going to do is click and pull that in, and then I want it to be 5 millimeters thick around the edge. So again, no hands on the mouse. All I do, type 5, press enter, and it makes that shape for me. Now, what I've got is a cylinder with a slightly smaller circle drawn on the top. I now need to remove some of that material. So I'm going to go back to my offset tool and select the push-pull tool. So before, when we created the cylinder, we sort of magically created material out of nothing. This time we're going to magically remove material so that we have nothing left afterwards. So again, I get the dotty pattern on the surface, I click, I push downwards This time I'm going to type in 75 and press enter, and then what that will do is remove the material from the mug. And if we look at the underneath, you can see it's still got the bottom attached. Now, that bit's fairly straightforward. This bit gets a little bit more difficult. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a shape, just a rectangle. It's going to be a vertical rectangle. To do that, you can see that SketchUp is telling me that I'm using the blue axis. So that's a good thing. On the blue axis, great. Now what I'm going to do is go, I think this is the red axis, yeah, the red axis. I'm going to go across this way. I'm just drawing a quick rectangle, doesn't matter what size it is, so I'm not worried about sizes at the moment. Then I'm going to go up again on the blue axis. If I go over here, you can see that that's a black line, so that isn't on any of the axes. If I go over here, it's on the green, and if I go over here, it's still on the red, so I need it to be on the blue. You'll also see that SketchUp is showing me that I'm in line with the original line I drew, so that's a good thing. So I click, and I come back over here on the red axis, and that creates a face in there. Now, what we'll do is use one of the arcs, and we're going to use the 2-point arc, this one, okay? From here, we're going to go down, I think we'll go down about 60 millimeters. 60 millimeters. No, actually, we'll go 50 millimeters, like that. And then we'll pull outwards on the red axis. I'll just spin that round so we can see it a bit better. There we go. So I've drawn a line partially down there, and now I'm going to go out with a bulge of about 40 millimeters. So I type in 40, and I get this sort of odd partial circle. I then use the eraser tool up here to get rid of the excess stuff. So we just use that shape there to give us something to draw on. It sometimes makes it much more understandable if you draw onto just a rectangle. I'm now going to use the circle tool, and I'm going to hover over this point here, the end of this sort of C shape that we've developed. Now I'm going to use the arrow keys, because at the moment the circle is aligned with the blue axis. I want it to be aligned with the red axis. So if I hit the right arrow, it becomes aligned with the red axis. I click and I pull outwards, and I'm going to give this a radius of about 6 millimeters, I think. So I type in 6, press enter. Oops. Stuck there. 6, enter. There we go. And you can see now what I've got here. I've got an odd sort of shape, a C-shaped line with a circle on the end of it. What we're going to do now is use a new tool. So we go back to push pull, and we select this one. It's called follow me. What I'm going to do now is hover over the end of the face of the circle we've just drawn. Click that, and then I'll pull it along the C-shaped line like that. Till I get to there, then I'm going to click. Now you can see what that's produced. Almost like a what's it shape, yeah? So it's a C shape, but the circle is all the way along the shape itself. That will form the handle. Now, to move that over, this is where SketchUp is a little bit fiddly, becomes a little bit sort of irritating to use. You can get disorientated quite easily. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to triple click on the cylinder. So click, 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 and it selects all of it. What I then do is right click and select make group. So that's all joined together. You can't lose bits of that now. I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to triple click, and I'm going to right click and make group. So now I've got 2 different parts which I need to join together. To do that, I will use the move tool. And this is where SketchUp becomes a bit fiddly. So I'm going to move this over to about there into a roughly correct position. I can now get rid of the C shape. There we go. And this obviously is not perfect, so we're going to need to do some more sort of fiddly moving. Something like this looks better. Now I might move this one just over, but I don't want that to clip through there, so that's about right. And that's about right. It needs to go this way slightly. Looks good. Have I clicked through? No, I haven't. Is that central? Yes, it is. So there is our completed mug. Now I'm going to select all of them like that, and I'm going to make a group like that. So the whole thing is now locked together, and you can't lose a part of the mug. Obviously, this is a white mug, so we're going to go to our materials section, and we're going to go browse, and we're going to go to colours. And you can turn this mug into whatever colour you like. Let's go for a nice blue mug. There we go. All right then. So close that down. You can change your file name up here and click save. I'm just going to leave it like that because this is a nice simple model. But there we go. There's another computer-aided design model introduction. Do have a go at SketchUp.com.